Hey guys, got a request here yesterday, but I thought it'd be a really fun video. So I'm going to do something like that. It won't be exactly like that video, but what I'm going to be doing instead is I'm going to go over each category, and I'm going to talk about IEMs I like, and then IEMs I dislike in a category. So for example, if it's a neutral set of neutral IEMs, I'll talk about neutral IEMs I like, and then neutral IEMs I dislike. As always, this is going to be really subjective. This is basically like someone talking about their favorite food, right? You're never going to agree, but at least this lets you understand my preferences and whether it lines up with your preferences. So yeah, let's get right into it. So this is we'll start with neutral, right? So, or subjectively neutral. I think when most people talk about neutral, they'll talk about the truthier hexa. So ironically, I actually really dislike this IEM. I don't like the way it sounds. I feel like there's not enough bass. I feel like it's just not my cup of tea. And what I've come to realize is rather than me bashing on the IEM, what I've come to realize is it is a branch. So basically what happens is you are either going to like the truthier hexa or you're going to like the truthier pure. And what happens is people who like the pure, you're going to probably like more warm slanted IEMs. And then if you like the hexa, generally what I've seen is they're usually going to go to more bright slanted IEMs. But for me, I would say my preferences are more towards the truthier pure. The Software Studio 4, a lot of people would say it has a lot of neutral tendencies. I love this IEM. I absolutely love. Now, obviously, there's a huge price difference between these two. But the point I'm trying to say, this is a neutral I don't like, and this is a neutral I love the sound of. So that's that. Okay, next category. Let's talk about, I would say, warm slanted IEMs. Now, it's funny because when it comes to warm slanted IEMs, I love a lot of warm slanted IEMs. So, and I dislike very few. So, but I think it's just fun to talk about. All right. So, obviously, I love the truthier pure. I would say the truthier pure definitely slants a little bit warm. I love the critical ear dusk. This definitely, to me, slants pretty warm, right? And I love it. This is the Dunakima 2. To me, the Dunakima 2 definitely slants warm. Love this IEM. This is the Zigot Lush. This is a warm slanted IEM. This IEM, I feel, again, it's so underrated. Not many people review it high, but I love this IEM. If you get the Moondrop spring tips, okay, I'm not talking about the coffee ear tips, get the Moondrop spring tips, this IEM is going to shine. It is so good at vocals. This is definitely one of my favorites. This is the Sony IER M7. I love this IEM. In fact, what is actually kind of interesting is I actually like the M7 over the M9. I would definitely say this is warm slanted. This is the RSV Mark 1. I would definitely call this a warm slanted IEM. Absolutely love this IEM. This is I had difficulty categorizing this IEM, but this is the Shure SE846. Sometimes I call it neutral, as in like, hey, that kind of sounds like the speakers on my desk. But then sometimes I'm like, but that is warm because it's not bright and it's not like, so, but this is a warm slanted IEM that I absolutely love the sound of. And then this is the Manger T Pro, which is a warm slanted IEM, and I definitely love this IEM. So now I'm going to talk subjectively about IEMs that I would consider warm that to me, either I don't like the sound of or I would consider poor value for the money. And again, I know this is going to ruffle some feathers. So to me, it's going to be the Mega 5 EST. This IEM sounds really sleepy to me. Like it just does not sound good. Like, I personally would take all of these IEMs over the Mega 5 EST. But it's a matter of preference. I mean, I know folks who really love this IEM, so you may love this IEM. But for me, I don't like it. And I also feel it's very overpriced for what it is. This is around $550 or so. I personally don't think it's good value for the money. And for my ears, for my preferences, I would rather have these IEMs over that, just as a point of reference. Now, the next IEM I want to talk about, this is the Dunu SA6 Mark II. I don't think this is a bad sounding IEM. In fact, I would even venture to say that it's actually pretty inoffensive. It's pretty good. The only problem I feel is that it is extremely overpriced for what it is. You're paying $600 for this sound, and again, I'd rather take all of these, okay, over this for my own preferences, because to me, this sounds kind of like it's never great. Next category, let's go over bright IEMs, right? So I love the Tantrum Origin. I love the way this sounds, and I would absolutely classify the Tantrum Origin as bright leaning. I like the SimGod EM6L. Now, it does need the Kiwi Ears Flex ear tips on it so that you can get a little bit more heft in here. But when you add that, this actually sounds pretty good. And to date, this is the only SimGod IEM I like. And I think this is important to note because you will notice that other channels, they'll have like a billion SimGod IEMs they like. That's how you know right away we don't have the same preferences. We're different. You know what I mean? I literally have tried so many SimGod IEMs and I think they're trash. Like they're so bright for me, right? But I can tolerate, and I actually do like the SimGod EM6L. The next IEM I want to talk about is the Critical Divine. Now I'm going to put my thumb over it because it's a mirror, but basically this IEM is a really good, brightish IEM. What's so great about it is that he manages to make it not sound sibilant and shouty. It's smooth. It is one of the more smoother, bright IEMs I've tested. So I absolutely love these three in terms of brightish signature. Now let's talk about IEMs that are bright that I think just really are terrible, or not terrible, that I personally don't like, okay? And I'm going to go over extremes here. So the first IEM I want to talk about, this is the 7 Hz G1. This is a bright IEM. By no stretch of the imagination would I ever call this neutral. This is definitely really bright, but out of the box, this is a very unpleasant sounding IEM. I don't like it. The other IEM here, and it's a matter of preference, this is the CCA Phoenix. This IEM, you're going to look on YouTube, and many people have great things to say about it. I might be in the minority, but I think this IEM sounds terrible. It is extremely bright in sibilance and just not a fun time. This is bright done wrong. This is bright done right, okay? This is bright done wrong. This is bright done right. Okay, these two. This is not a good IEM for me. And then lastly, I want to talk about the Moondrop Blessing 3 because I think this is actually really important to note.
And so it's an easy 5 stars out of 5 for me. And if you want to check it out,
the Moondrop Blessing 3, here are my 2 cents on it, and it's going to be a little bit kind of, controversial, but I think I want to really make this point. To me, if you look at the frequency responses between the Moondrop Blessing 2 and the Moondrop Blessing 3, the Moondrop Blessing 3 undoubtedly across like 20 different graphs will show that the Moondrop Blessing 3 has lesser mids compared to the 2. And you can actually hear that. But the Moondrop Blessing 3 out of the box at $360, in my opinion, sounds really shouty, really sibilant, really bright. It is not a good time. You know what I mean? And at least for my ears, I actually think that, again, the Tantrum Origin out of the box without any EQ sounds better than this. And this is nearly $360. I just don't, I don't really see the justification for it. Now, the people who defend the Moondrop Blessing 3, they have obviously put in the money. And what they do is they give you a manual on how to EQ it to make it sound good. In my opinion, what I'm trying to say is I have IEMs here that sound good out the box and just straight up sound better than this without a lick of EQ needed. Okay, next category. Let's go over, I would say, V-shaped IEMs. You're going to notice that here there are going to be some Harman IEMs. So people are going to say, why are you including Harman in V-shaped? But to me, Harman is V-shaped. And it sounds quite V-shaped because it's pretty pronounced bass and pretty pronounced treble. Okay, so let's go over my favorites. I would say the Swan and V is a V-shaped IEM. I really love this IEM, and I would absolutely call this a V-shaped IEM. Absolutely love this. Really great vocals, great bass. I would say the only drawback of this IEM is that the soundstage isn't where I would like it, but I think that's just, aside from that, really great vocals, great bass. Absolutely love this IEM. The other IEM is the Juicier Defiant. By no stretch of the imagination would I call this, warm or, like neutral. This is a V-shaped IEM, but it's a V-shaped IEM done really well. And so I really like this IEM. So now I'm going to talk about 4 IEMs that I would classify as V-shaped. At least they sound very V-shaped to me that I don't like the sound of. So this is the Critical Blue Zero 1 and then the Critical Blue Zero 2. So in my opinion, I have a theory. Okay, I have a theory. I think this is the time period when Critical was figuring things out. Like he was trying to, and so these IEMs, when you crank up the volume, actually this too, this is the Truthier Nova. All three of these suffer the same problem. When you crank up the volume on these get extremely harsh and sibilant. This is not, so they can sound really shouty, really unpleasant. These sort of IEMs you want to listen at low to medium volume. But when things get really hot and spicy, this is not a good time. The other IEM I want to talk about that I don't like the sound of is the Chopin. But there are other IEMs just like this. I would say this sound, Harman 2019. So the Supermix 4 is in this category. I would also say the Inawaken Twilight is in this category. I would also say many SimGod IEMs are in this category. I would say many $20 IEMs are in this category. It's basically, there's like, when you look at the graphs, it looks like this, like kind of, there's the bass is a little bit pronounced, and then there's this huge cavernous hole right in the middle.
We have our nice mids.
Basically, they're getting a paring knife, okay, a paring knife, and they're cutting out the vocals. And so it sounds thin, like female vocals in particular, they sound thin, or male vocals will sound thin. And then they crank up the treble, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't know why this got trendy, but this sound is not good. This IEM, by no stretch of the imagination, would I ever call this IEM. So, I don't know what this other category is called, but I don't have any dislikes in this category. I like all of them, but I will talk about value for dollar, right? So, this is the Misty Blue. I absolutely love this IEM. Really, it's a specialist IEM, really great with female vocals. This is the Kiwi Ear Astral. Love this IEM. I think it actually sounds great. And an added plus to this is that apparently this is really good for gaming. So you might like that as well. This is the Let's Sure Cadenza 4. I love this IEM. Really great sounding IEM. And then now there's also the Tops Pro. I like this IEM too. Now, the only thing I want to say, but it's subjective because I can't go back in time and rewind time. But to me, these sound quite similar. In fact, they kind of graph similar, but there's this one notch at the very end when you look at the frequency responses where the Cadenza 4 is actually warmer, a little bit warmer compared to the, but if you look at the graphs, their mids and everything is very similar. And I remember thinking that. I couldn't piece it together at the time, but when I reviewed the Tops Pro, I remember thinking, you know, I have something that kind of sounds like that, but it's a lot cheaper. You're probably going to like this as well, and they have a lot of similarities. So, and this is a lot more accessible to get on Amazon. So I definitely like the Let's Sure Cadenza 4. Again, I like everything within this category. Okay, and this is the Keyfine Clean. The Keyfine Clean is a weird IEM to me because it doesn't sound wrong. Like nothing sounds wrong on it. Like the bass doesn't sound too much. The bass doesn't sound thin. The vocals don't sound wrong. Like nothing sounds wrong. But this IEM, I say this so many times, it does nothing for me. Like it just sits in a box. It's like you do nothing for me. Like, you know what I mean? It's just not engaging. You know what I mean? So that's my main thing. And I think that's a theme with Keyfine. Keyfine to me is striking out all the time. Okay, last category. I don't know what this is called. They're IEMs that they sound really unique to me. Like I don't know what the hell they're called, but I happen to love all of them. So this is the YU9Q. It's a very unique sounding IEM. Like I don't know I would definitely say it's closer to V-shaped in its tonality, maybe closer to, but then it's such a great IEM. I love the way it sounds. And it's funny because I had a discussion with somebody and they're saying, but look at the graphs, it looks so bad. And I'm like, you know what? You got to just fuck off and just stop thinking about it. It's just, go get it. It's so good. I don't care what the graphs say. It's a really great sounding IEM. So that's the YU9Q. The other IEM I want to talk about is obviously the Civga Q. This is a specialist IEM. It's very, very good with vocals and nothing else. It doesn't have the best bass. It doesn't have the best treble. It's not for gaming. It's not for pianos. It's not for, like listening to footsteps when you're gaming. This is vocals. If you have, this is so amazing with vocals, and I freaking love this IEM. And I don't know how to classify this IEM because it's not V-shaped, it's not neutral, it's not warm, or not as warm as, this pile here. It's not as bright as, this pile here. It doesn't fit here. It doesn't fit in any of these categories. It just has a very unique sound to it. I love this IEM. And then lastly, the other IEM, this is the Andromeda 2020. Very unique sound. It just kind of has a warm slant to it, but the soundstage, perception-wise, I'm talking like perception-wise, sounds fucking insane. It's just like, what the hell? Like, this is like, yeah, it just has insane soundstage to my ears. And it just goes to show, just because something is old doesn't mean it sucks. It's still going to be good. You know what I mean? So, yeah, hopefully that kind of clears things up, and we'll go from there.